Let me do continue here. All right, everybody. Yeah, we'll definitely get this thing started here. For those of you who don't know, this is the AREIS meeting. Most of us do know. It's the alternative meeting. We focus on everything having to do with real estate, except for tenants and toilets. We leave that to the home providers group that happens same time. Actually, next week is when they're going to be doing that, next Thursday morning. You can talk about what?
It's canceled. It's July 4th week, so nobody's going to be there, so we canceled that one.
Oh, so next week it's canceled?
Next week is canceled. Yep, and the general meeting takes place at the bar.
Johnny's.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, is that going to be Thursday night or Wednesday night?
Thursday night.
Okay. All right. So that'll be the is that the 7th? 8th? 8th. All right. Sorry. I get my dates all screwed up over here. So yeah, so basically, and by the way, that's going to be great for networking. So at least we'll be able to actually see people in person, be able to hang out. There's not going to be anything set in regards to speakers. Just go there, relax, talk, bring business cards, get as many numbers as possible. There'll be a ton of people that haven't seen each other in a while. And you can also get some really great information. So that's going to be Johnny's on Culver by Merchants Road. And Andy, is that at 7 o'clock?
It's pretty informal. So I set it up for 6 o'clock and all the announcements and stuff. So people can just roll in whenever they want and leave whenever they want. So, but I think I set it from 6 to 9 or 6 to 10, something like that. And it's come and go as you please. Very informal.
What was the date again? Is that the 18th or the 15th?
The 8th.
The 8th. Okay, got it.
The 8th. So it's replacing the general meeting because it's July 4th week. People are going to be camping on vacation. It's supposed to be in nice weather. So
good. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, suggest people take a look at the calendar. Don't think anything is going to change between now and then, but can always look at the calendar and see some of those things that's going on.
It'll be exciting to actually get together with people and actually network, talk, and see what's been happening and see where people are going. And for anybody looking to network, it's a great place to be. Okay. But yeah, like Leon was saying, go to FFREIA.com, Freedom First Real Estate Investment Association. Go there and take a look at the schedule. Okay. This meeting over here that we have is open forum. It's, you know, it's nothing formal. Anything you want to know about real estate. I know there's probably some new people on here. Feel free to ask questions. There's also a chat box. You can also put your information on. And it's a great way to be able to at least get in contact with people. Scott Spear is supposed to be joining us. He's also co-host. He said he's going to be a few minutes late. He's talking to somebody out of Japan, doing some business. And then I know I think he's still, I don't know if he was in Virginia. He went through 3 or 4 states last week because he was looking at storage facilities all throughout the East Coast. So I think he's back in Virginia. I'm not really too sure. But when he gets in, hopefully he'll chime in over here. We're going to start off with haves and wants, by the way. Anybody have anything they're looking to sell? Anybody have anything they're looking to buy? Put it out there. Let us know here. Nobody's looking for anything. I'm kind of shocked.
I'm always looking.
What do you out there?
Now,
We do have a cash investor coming into town tomorrow. He wants to buy bigger properties, you know, like if there's any apartment buildings out there. But he can only go up to $1 million. So, you know, not huge apartment buildings, but if anybody knows of anything, let me know.
What area?
Doesn't matter. They're coming from California.
I got a lead on a guy who's got 23 unit building. I don't know exactly how negotiable he is. He's not super negotiable, as 100% off market. He owns multiple places. Place got a newer C of O, all separate utilities. And it's going to be probably in the $650,000 to $700,000 range.
Do you think we could get into it tomorrow?
No.
Can you send me the information so we can drive by it?
Yes.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a problem. I had a guy come in from Israel this weekend to look at houses with me on Sunday. I had 3 things lined up for him. They sold before he got here and they weren't even on market. So, I mean, that's the way it's been going.
Yeah, I believe it. I totally believe it. Anybody else? I know I'm looking for stuff, commercial, residential, and industrial. And technically I have available right now. I won't know yet till this weekend. But yeah, that's what I'm looking for right now. Anybody else?
Well, we've got a note in the chat box from, I'm going to mispronounce this, Shaquana, saying that she is a beginner looking to learn about flipping, still in the beginning stages of saving, and hope to be able to purchase something for her first flip sometime next year. Any advice for newcomers?
That's a great question. And we're definitely going to handle that question for you right after the haves and wants. Because one of the things that disturbs me is when I hear people say I have to save up money to buy my first property. It makes my stomach go crazy because you don't need to, but we're going to talk about that afterwards. Anyone else looking for properties? Put it out there. Let us know. Otherwise, we're never going to call you and everyone else is going to get the deal.
Hi, it's Howie. Hey guys, hey everyone.
All right.
My Rochester Real Estate Heroes. I foolishly, and if possible, I'm looking for any off-market possible flip deal if it makes sense. I also am thinking of selling or refinancing one of my properties. Colleen, if you'd like, I can send you the information. And if you could give me comps, I'd appreciate it. I can't hear you.
Sorry. Yeah, forgot I was on mute. I'm gonna put my email address in the chat box right now.
Cool.
Feel free to send it to me. I'd be happy to help.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and by the way, if you're looking for stuff, put your contact information on the chat box, so that way everybody else can see it.
I shall.
People will start calling you instead of you trying to chase people.
I shall do that. Thank you.
Perfect. Anyone else? Everyone's got their Christmas list filled. Apparently so. All right. We'll kind of keep this informal. So if you have any questions, anything you want to talk about, there's a couple of things I wanted to go over. But before we get all that, I'd like to get into, and I apologize, I can't see what the name was on there. Is it Shaquana? And I don't know if
Correct.
we can even mute. I don't know if you can even unmute yourself. I don't know if she can or not.
She might be shy.
Maybe shy. So Andy, she wants to know about saving up money to buy the property.
She wants to know the steps to take to buy the property, I think, initially. But she did say she was in the stages of saving to purchase at the beginning. So she's saving now. She wants to know kind of where to start.
Well, before I get in, anyone want to chime in on that one for her? All right, I'll take the question. So basically, one of the things that, and I'm sure a bunch of us will agree, all of us think the exact same thing when we first started. We all have to save up money to do our first flip. Realistically, you don't have to. I've had people tell me that they were trying to save up, trying to figure out how to get $50,000, $60,000 for their first flip, 30,000, whatever the heck it is there. I used to think the exact same thing. And a lot of us have learned, and obviously because we weren't taught this, but basically all I do is we find the deal and the money will come. And the funny thing about it is that when people used to tell me that, it didn't even go in one ear and out the other. It would literally stop because I just never understood it. I didn't. Now a lot of us do. Okay. So, and what I mean by that is that, and people kept telling me, is that, Joe, find the deal, find the property. And when if you find $100,000 piece of property and you're going to get it for $40,000, and right now some people are thinking you're never going to find that. You will. They're out there. We all have. People will be dying to give you money. And through this group, there's people on this group who will actually look for people like you and myself who want to loan the money. Exact same way we flip properties, the exact same way these hard money lenders, these people who want to loan out their money, look for us. And this group is a great place to start. In regards to finding the properties, you need to put your information out there, have people calling you, locate the wholesalers, locate the other cash buyers in the area, network. And Shaquana, I don't know if, first of all, are you local? Whereabouts do you live? Are you here in Rochester? I know some people are calling in from other areas. Okay. If you are here in Rochester, get acquainted with the website. Like next Thursday night, we're going to be meeting at Johnny's. Okay. And if you're not from the area, I promise you there are going to be other meetup groups somewhere, someplace. Some people live in some of the rural areas. Get together, network, and find out who you need to talk to. I don't know if you can let us know through the chat box if you're local or not. I mean, I know there's other things we can add to this, but the networking is going to be key. And in regards to when you first start out, yes, you're going to need to have a little bit of money depending who you deal with. Just don't think you're going to need the full, if you buy $100,000 or $150,000 property, let's just say you buy a 150 property and you're picking it up for $75,000 and you're going to need to put 25 into it. You're going to need $100,000. You're not going to. Okay. It's just going to depend on who the lender is. And by the way, through this group, you'll be able to meet the lenders. And we all tell people here, talk to the lenders before you need them. Don't just call them the morning of saying, hey, I am such and such, and I need money, when they have no idea who the heck you are. Okay. And I tell people, even if you got to call them once a month, say, hey, listen, I'm still here. I'm still here. Be like that itch that they can't reach on their back. Let them know you're there. Because one of these days when you really do need them, they're going to be like, wow, this person's been in this for a while. They're sticking to it. And it's going to give them more confidence in being able to give you money for the flips. Okay. I'm sure there's other people who can add on to this, and feel free to jump on board with this for Shaquana. And hopefully I'm not butchering your name, by the way. Anybody?
I think Shaquanda, did we meet at the general meeting that was held on Saturday that Pat Gallagher put on? I'm assuming that it's the same person. Name sounds quite similar, but we had the same sort of brief discussion that we're talking about now. I think it's one of those things where a lot of people, when they're particularly new, Joe, I think that they sort of miss some of the major components, for sake of better words, around real estate investing, and the fact that you can do it with basically no money. If you have the right deal, the money will find you.
Absolutely. And a lot of people, including myself, find that very hard to believe. I've got a guy that I was dealing with about 4 years now. And he was doing pretty good at first, and then he kind of waned off a little bit. but he couldn't get through his head that even though he would see tons and tons and tons and tons of examples of it being done, he still couldn't get it through his head that you can actually find property without having to feeling overwhelmed of trying to save up all that money. And this guy every once in a while still calls me. Yeah, Joe, I'm still here. I'm just, I got to do what I got to do. I'm just trying to figure out saving money. And I finally stopped having that conversation. I just said, no problem. When you're ready, we'll be here. While you're doing that, we're doing other deals. And he personally saw me and many other people do these kinds of deals. And the problem is that he wasn't immersing himself in groups like this. Actually let him see how real it is and actually talking to other people. Like now he'll call me once every maybe 6 months. And, I wish the guy the best. And I keep telling him, get yourself immersed in these types of groups. And by the way, he lives right here in Rochester. And, he's literally probably a 6-minute drive from me. And he won't even do that. So getting that mindset is going to be key, because I know I had a really big problem with that when I first got involved. This group wasn't around when I got involved. We weren't lucky enough to have, all these people volunteering to be able to do this group, to be able to connect, to be able to do stuff. What everybody can do here used to take me months, where people can do it one shot. Just put your information on the chat box, and you've already beaten me in regards to what I did when I first started. Okay.
Yep. And on the website, you can find resources. There's some hard money lenders listed on the website. There's some hard money lenders that are in here on this call right now. It looks like Scott is actually at his desk, but he's being very strangely silent this morning. I don't actually know what's going on with him, but he's waving, so that's a good sign. And just, join the group, get on the newsletter, get on the mailing list, you can search the members who are active on the website. You can see all the vendor members that are looking to give money out. Like, it's a big deal. This is a centralized resource for education and networking and getting deals done and being involved in Rochester, but in broader markets as well, out of state. And we have investors coming in from North Carolina and New York City and Massachusetts and Lord knows where else people are dialing in from nowadays with these Zoom meetings. But it's definitely an opportunity for you to grow your contacts and grow your knowledge of the business. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just sitting here waiting for Joe to take a breath, so I could talk for a minute. So
all yours, Scott. I'm supporting actor.
Yeah. Okay.
You're the main guy.
No, this is a Joe show.
Nope.
It is a Joe show, that's for sure. So I wasn't sure if we're going to have this meeting or not. I'm glad we're having it, and always glad to join in on it. And yeah, sorry I was a few minutes late. Just take care of some other things. But it's, yeah, Joe and I were talking earlier. I just tell people, keep showing up to these things, keep networking. When you stop networking, you're gonna, your business is done, in my opinion. It's a pretty easy place to network. It's pretty inexpensive. It's very cost effective to join this group. I don't want to say it's cheap, but it's very cost effective. For the amount of meetings you can attend, the amount of people you can meet, and the different things in the networking. I mean, that's worth way more than the price you're paying for admission on this thing. That's why I still do it. I'm in Virginia, still in Virginia. I was Rochester, New York. Anybody doesn't know me, Rochester, New York, build a portfolio, sold it off. My wife and I hopped in an RV. We're traveling across the country, and now we kind of be where we want when we want. So, but yeah, I'm glad we're doing the Zooms. If you ever go back to full live meetings, hopefully
you don't have to worry about that, Scott. We have all of the hardware now for blended meetings wherever we go, sitting behind me. I just have to finish setting it all up and getting it ready. So blended meetings will be a thing, just like the housing provider support was last month in the morning. Once we find venues for the evening meetings, that'll be transitioning as well. So we'll have Zoom as an option. We'll have an online only membership rolling out here in the next couple of weeks for people who don't want to attend live meetings or that are out of market. That'll get them some of the benefits. And don't forget that the membership pays for itself if you're doing flips and stuff like that, because you're going to get that 2% rebate back. So I can't picture you spending less than $10,000 at Home Depot doing a flip. So you're going to get that money back in your pocket directly as cash you can spend for your next project.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a lot of things going on, so that we can try to bridge the gap, because we found ourselves in the COVID situation, like most places and companies and organizations. And, it became very clear, given some of the surveys that we've done, that we have roughly, we'll just call it half of the people want to be online on Zoom call, and the other half wants to be in person. So it's like, well, how do we actually bridge that gap so that we can do both? And so we went through a fair amount of research, primarily done by Andy, around what is it that we can do. And the biggest challenge is the venue and what do we have. So we're still looking for venues, as Andy indicated, that would allow us to do both Zoom and in-person sessions. And so that allows us to keep both audiences in place, so to speak. So let me just bounce back, if I could, to the question that was being asked and discussed around monies. I think that one of the things that happens is when people first start off doing real estate investing, they hear about it and they know about the power of leverage and being able to leverage monies. But it's really sort of more from resources. Scott, I'm gonna pick on you. And you're doing storage units, and I think you and I haven't talked about this, so hopefully I'm not putting you on the spot or anything, but when you go out and you buy your storage units, I think it'd be safe to say it'll be hard to imagine that you will pay the monies up front for each and every one of them. It's really, you're able to do it by basically leveraging the situation, leveraging your knowledge, leveraging partnerships and things of that sort. Can you use that as an example to sort of give people a little bit of an idea?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like looking for houses and such. You just got to find the right deal. You got to wait for the right deal to be there, but you got to be out looking for it and networking and such. And that's where my deals are coming from. I really don't market for self-storage. Like some people send out mailers and do data mining and all kinds of stuff. And that's great. But I'd rather network for my opportunities, reaching out to people. But on the point of leverage, the deal's got to make sense. You take it to a bank and the bank looks at the financials, and if the bank tells you the financials are off, there's a problem. They may look great to you, but when a bank tells you the financials don't fit their model and they won't loan you the money, there's a problem. You got to find out what that problem is. But what we're using a lot of times is other people's money. We're buying these properties at what we think is a discount because they're not maybe managed right or fully optimized. Then we get in there and we automate them, optimize them, and then we'll go back to a bank for loans. We're in the process of doing that right now on one that we picked up. The bank made us a loan, but they only loaned us 50% of what we were buying the property for because the financials didn't support it. And we're getting ready for expansion, and we're going back and talking to the bank already, and they're excited because they're going to finance well over what we paid for it, because we took it from generating $2,500 a month to $7,700 a month in a matter of 8 months. So that one's worked well, and like I said, the bank's excited. But that's it. You just have to find the right deal. I know people say that over and over again. How do I know it's the right deal? Find it, get the financials on it, or get the information on it, reach out to somebody in the group that's experienced, reach out to Joe, reach out, Colleen will help you. Mary Jane Griggs, the vendor members, they'll all help you to say, hey, the value on this is right. And then, if the deal's right, they know where to find the money. Trust me. Mary Jane knows where to find the money. Leon has it all, but Mary Jane knows where to find that money. Colleen, if you got the right deal, Colleen can find you the money for the deal. And Joe will find you the money for the deal. If you just want to wholesale it out, I know a lot of people, they don't want the monthly income. They want a hit. They want that wholesale fee. If the deal makes sense, these guys are going to know who to sell it to. And same with me for self-storage. If you come across a deal that's in self-storage, I'll buy it or we'll partner up and wholesale it together to somebody else. So that's it. If you find the right property, the money will find you. But if you can't find the money, don't get discouraged. It's because the deal's just not right to people with experience, to people who have that money. You have to respect that. I've seen people get mad at people because they're like, well, they don't understand. But they do understand. That's why they're in a position they are to loan money. And just ask them, why won't you loan the money on this? What do you see? Just so I know for next time I bring you a deal, I'm not wasting your time. So I hope that helps. That's it. I'm done.
Can you guys hear it? Can you guys hear us?
You're there. You're good.
All right.
No worries.
No problem. Does anyone have any other questions that they want to ask?
Who else can answer this question? Bob Napier. I know he's on mute and I know he's off video, so I'm not sure if I'm calling him out or not, but there's somebody who built a great business using other people's money and just structuring deals and things like that. Bob, if you're online and can talk for a couple minutes, if you can bring in input for, finding money for deals.
Bob's still down in Florida. Is he actually up here in New York?
I don't know that guy. I can't keep up with him.
What do
And Bob, if you're talking, you're on mute.
I don't even know that he's in his computer. Oh, there he is. Yep, there we go.
You guys hear me now?
Yep, you're good. Hi,
Yes,
Bob.
sir.
Hey guys, welcome everyone. Good to get on a webinar here, and Joe and Scott, Leon, thank you for all the wealth of knowledge. I guess I'll just grab my 2 cents here with the person that's trying to get involved, and Joe, I agree with you that experience tells us that the right deal, the money will follow. However, starting off as a rookie, I didn't know that. So like many of you, my first deal came together with a weekend seminar and a credit card that I had about a $20,000 line on, I guess. And we were tasked to go out to find that first property within a week. And back then, maybe it was a little bit easier. I don't know. This was probably, right around 1998. But that was the goal of the 3-day seminar. And so I found one. I found a HUD property at that point on Nichols Street that was for $15,000 and purchasable on my credit card. So essentially it was, bought that way, and then we were into it and had to figure out, how to get the repairs done, which I had another $5,000 on that credit card still for a line, and we pretty much made it happen with that. From there, many people, of course, said, wow, how'd you do that? And other people might have said, well, you're crazy. So we just kept moving forward, and we used that first property as leverage once it was fixed up and once it was rented out, to then duplicate, and duplicate again and duplicate again. And, you know, pretty soon we had enough leverage to think about, you know, getting out of our day job, after acquiring about, you know, 20 properties or so. So it's possible, and it doesn't need to be overwhelming or difficult at first. And especially with this group of people, you got many fine mentors, and I appreciate the opportunity here to just share a couple of minutes of my experience. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Am I still there? All right. Scott, are you still there?
Yep, I'm here.
All right. I know,
I'm here.
okay.
I wanted to step away for just a couple minutes and let Bob talk. So
Yeah.
nobody's looking at me. So
Oh, I know. Bob's been doing this a long time. He used leverage to the max, which is fantastic,
mhm.
you know, and,
Yeah.
absolutely. By the way, does anyone else have any more questions? Any that they'd like us to go over, or anything that they're, looking at? They want to talk about?
Well, it looks like Shaquana said she's been popping in and out because she's at work. She
Oh.
heard some of the stuff about hard money lending. Shaquana, just so you know, this will be recorded and it will be up on our YouTube page probably by tomorrow. So you'll be able to rewatch this and get the stuff you missed, because a lot of it was directly addressing you. But she said she's new to this. A lot of people don't want to loan money to newbies with no experience or not working with a mentor who's got the experience that's walking them through the process. And some of them want to have some money saved before lending to you. And she's not interested in doing wholesaling, but I think the message that you probably missed was get involved with wholesalers, because they can bring you an off-market house below market value and you'll still get it for less than retail, which allows you to have some profit when you're done doing your flip and selling it at retail. Joe's actually one of the largest wholesalers in Rochester. So you're in the right place to make those connections.
And by the way, my phone number is in the chat box also. And I think Scott, Scott's part of a lending co-op. Scott could probably definitely add some really valuable information onto that one. That's for sure.
Yeah, we're in a lending co-op. We kind of, I guess, shelved it during COVID. We weren't sure what's going to happen with that. We weren't sure what's going to happen with the market. We're starting to do some lending again, very little, because we're still not sure on the market. All that to say, if you have a property you're looking to sell, I'm going to say get on the market as soon as you can. You know, we don't know when the market's going to shift, if it's going to shift, but it still could go up. But don't play that game of thinking that it is going to go up. I would always treat a flip like the market's going to tank in a month. I need to get this flip on the market. Don't look back don't sell it and then 6 months from now, yeah, it's worth maybe 50 grand more. Oh, I could get 50 grand more. No, you got a ton of money for it now. But with the money lending, we do that. We do look for experience. We vet the person first. Is it somebody that we would lend money to? And then we vet the property. And same thing, like I said before, if we won't lend on it, there's a reason, and we tell people what that reason is. We don't want to take back a property. I know Joe McGuire, I think he's on there somewhere. He does a lot of lending too. And same thing, you know, if he won't lend on it, he's going to tell you why. Some people won't tell you why, but yeah, we'll tell you why. And, you know, me and my partner and I that I do the co-op with, we have a lot of real estate experience, have a lot of experience in Rochester. That's our main focus is Monroe County and Rochester. So, but we do look for experience from people, or the deal really has to make sense. So, And we typically will lend not about 60%, 60, maybe 70% of the value of the property. So on things. So if you get a good deal and you're buying it for half what it's worth, like Joe says, I'll pay half. That's where we look to play.
Anyone else on that one? Nope.
Yes, typically Shaquana just said, so pretty much I do have to have some money of my own. Yes, typically you have to have some skin in the game. There are some out there that if you've got experience will let you do some sweat equity, like actually swing a hammer or do some painting or work on the project yourself as that type of thing. But that's usually getting into JV deals, which is a little bit more complicated. You may want to find a mentor just to work with for your first one, and they can make some connections for you. And if, to your point earlier, if they're, working with you, you may have a better chance of getting a hard money lender to lend who's familiar with them and their work product and their success track record. For what it's worth, it might not be the perfect answer if you want to be a solopreneur, but in real estate, there's really no such thing as a solopreneur. Just gonna put it out there.
You're 100% right, Andy.
And even me in the self-storage business, I partner up with people. I haven't taken down a deal completely myself yet. And there's a reason for that. I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm not good at. So even with the experience I have, I still take on partners. Like Joe always says, 100% or 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing. So that's why I partner up with people. So.
And then for me, Scott, I'm able to do more with partners. And well, plus it depends on, whatever your goals are. If you're looking to, some people are only looking to do 2 or 3 a year, obviously if you're doing it by yourself, that's fine. But if you're looking to do more, then that's a whole different issue. So with that, but hopefully we answered your questions, and take down some numbers. Feel free to give us a call and get connected in the group, Shaquana. Hopefully I'm not butchering your name. So, any other questions? I know Scott and I, we were talking earlier this morning, and I've had, some of the questions that people always ask is, when would I be able to quit my job doing real estate? and that's kind of a loaded question. I actually talked to one guy a few weeks ago, and he goes, Joe, I'm going to quit my job. I go, how many deals have you done? None. I go, don't quit your job. He goes, burn the boats, or basically do or die. Personally, I don't like doing that. I don't recommend doing that. I know people who have done it, they've struggled, because you want to be in a position of strength, not of weakness when you're doing this. And one of the, there's a lot of other factors, but, I want Scott Spear is a perfect example of what he had to do to be able to, because obviously he was being laid off. I think Scott, I'll let Scott tell the story, but Scott will tell you exactly what he had to go through. So Scott.
Yeah, I'll share my story, and I know it's probably also is a good topic for a bigger group. But I had a job, I was in sales, corporate sales. Company was based out of Exeter, Rhode Island, and I was in Rochester. And the company is doing very well in Exeter, Rhode Island. Decided to branch out along the eastern coast, expand into markets, which was a challenge. I mean, to go from a market you're very, very good in, it's almost like wholesale, like being in Rochester, the Rochester market, and going to a different market. It's like, it's a big change. But anyways, they hired 20 sales reps along the East Coast. I was one of them. And we were doing good. I had myself and one other guy were doing very well in the sales group. There was 18 other people that were struggling in those other markets. And my boss at the time, we were good friends. He told me, he says, hey, he goes, things aren't going so well with the other sales guys, not sure what they're going to do. There might be some layoffs. Now, this is a year before I got laid off. So he gave me a year's notice I might be getting laid off. And so I sat down, had a conversation with my wife, said, hey, this is what's going on. During that time, I was building my real estate business. So I had a real estate business going already. So I had some income coming in. I was flipping some properties, but I was nowhere near a point to quit my job and do that full time. And anybody who's looking to quit their job and do this full time, if you don't have something going on already, in my opinion, you probably shouldn't do it. I know people say, oh, I know so-and-so quit his job and he's making a lot more money than he was at the job. Well, yeah, but he had something going on already. Not everybody tells you that they had something going on already. They already were fully funded. They already had flips in the pipeline. They already had properties under contract. So they had things lined up. They could quit their job and do that. They're not going to tell you that story. They just say, hey, I burned the bridges. I burned the boats. We went in full into real estate and quit my job. Well, yeah, but they had everybody I know had something else going on. But anyways, so I was building real estate, started cutting down the debt. That was the big thing. My wife and I changed our spending habits, paid off our credit cards, paid things down so we wouldn't have any debt. 6 months before the layoff was 6 months before I got laid off, my boss had a conversation with me. He said, hey, it's getting closer. I'm not sure when it's going to happen, but I appreciated him telling me that this could happen. And then on the day of the layoff, he called me up and he says, dude, he goes, I'm just calling to tell you they are going to lay everybody off, blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, that's fine. I'm cool. And he was shocked by it. He's like, what do you mean? He goes, what are you going to do? I said, well, I've been building a real estate business. It never affected my job though. My real estate business, my job came first. Okay, so be the best employee there is at your job right now. Don't think you can slack at your job because you're building real estate. You want to leave, and when you leave, you want people to know who left and the big hole that you left there. Because some of those people I worked with became my money lenders. And I've heard of people leaving companies and the owner of the companies would call them and say, hey, I know you're doing real estate, so you know what you're doing. I'll lend you money. Let's sit down and talk about a business plan. So got laid off, but I had other income coming in. When I got laid off, I had 3 companies contact me, want me to come work for them. I said, nope, I'm going to try building a real estate business. I want to see how it goes. Thanks for the offer. And I had a backup plan. Arnold Schwarzenegger does a great video on YouTube. It's called Work Your Ass Off. Excuse my language, but that's the name of his video on YouTube. Watch it. He talks about people having plan B. He hates plan B. And he's right to a point. But for me, I knew I could build real estate. And if it didn't work out or if I needed to, I could take a job someplace else. So anybody looking just to quit their job, they hate their job, trust me, everybody hates their job. Everybody does. There's nobody I know who loves their job. There's going to be somebody here who's going to raise their hand and say, I love my job. I'm like, okay, if you love your job, do it for free. Would you still do your job? And my kids are 27 and 30, and we had the conversation with them. And, work's work, it's the best place for you to be at that time. I always looked at myself as a contractor with any company I was working with. It was the best place for me to be at the time. So that's it. All that to say is, don't just quit your job. Really think about it. Have a plan, have a vision, have something going on. Don't just quit your job and think you're going to make $1 million in real estate, because the chances of that are pretty slim. Is it possible? Yeah. But I don't know many people who've done it without having something else going on. So I always get nervous when people tell me they're going to quit their job. And I've had people in this group from before who are no longer in this group that said they're going to quit their job and do real estate full time. I've not heard from them in 2 years. I don't know what's going on with them. I know they aren't in real estate because I would know. So just think about that. Think about what's your plan, what's your vision, what are you going to do? There's a really good book out there. It's called Life in Air. I'll put it in the chat box here. Kind of talks about living a different lifestyle, paying down debt, not taking debt on, and just the ways to change the way that you live. And I read the book. It was a real game changer for me. It's a really good book. So sorry, everybody out there with a W-2 job who wants to quit their job tomorrow. You can do it. You can do whatever you want. I'm not going to stop you, but I'm just suggesting. I think lots of people on this call would say the same thing. Don't walk away from that W-2 until you have something in place.
Scott, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
When you walked away, how many properties, did you figure out how many properties you had to have before you were in a position, or how did you figure it out? Because a lot of people ask me that question.
That's a personal thing. That's one of the good things about reading this Life in Air book, is you really want to figure out what's your monthly expenses. If you lost your job, how much money do you have to have in the bank for 3 months to live? For some people, that's $1,000 a month. For some people, that's $10,000 a month. So it's up to your individual. With me, I wanted to retire from the corporate job, but because of the layoff, I did it 5 years sooner. I took a chance. I wanted to retire at 55 was my plan, because I got laid off at 50 and said, okay, I don't really have enough. I knew in 5 years I'd have enough to be at where I was at, but we were able to reduce all our expenses and everything. So we had money in savings too. So we were able to step back from that job. So what you really have to do, Joe, is find out, what does it honestly cost you to live per month? You have car payments, you have kid payments, you have house payments, you have utilities, you have insurances. Get all that down on paper, know what that number is, and that'll help you decide when you can retire or step away from the job. In my opinion, if your real estate business is generating enough money to cover those expenses and you want to leave your job, then you probably have a good chance of succeeding. If your real estate business isn't generating enough to cover your expenses, you're going to struggle. You're probably going to have problems. So hope that helps.
Anyone have any questions on that? Or want to expand on it?
Well, I'll just throw out there that the average millionaire out there, whether they have a real estate business or not, has 7 different income streams. Whether they're working a W-2 or whatever it may be, they're getting money from 7 different sources. Could be real estate, could be flipping stuff on eBay, could be whatever, but they've got 7 ways they make money. So if something falls apart, their stock market takes a dump, they're not, all of a sudden all their dividends dry up and they're not making money in the stock market anymore. Well, they've got 6 other things making money for them. So diversification and just looking for ways is an avenue to success. Not that everybody wants to be a millionaire, but 7 seems to be the magic number.
Yeah, I heard another statistic, Andy, that most long-term millionaires learn to live on about 30% of their income. And then they use the other 70% to do what they got to do and keep building. I've had people ask me in regards to, and again, just like Scott said, it's different for everybody. If you're making, when I left my job, it was construction, I was making somewhere around $40,000 a year, which, to make that up in real estate is nothing. Okay. There's another guy that Scott and I know, he was making over $100,000 a year. And, so he went and he saved up and he made sure that, he was in a strong position. But he also, just like Scott was saying, he's doing flips. He has very few holds. So he needed to make sure he had enough momentum and had a business built up enough where he knew that, things were going to be happening but he also made sure to, and Scott did the exact same thing. Even though he worked at night, he built his real estate business to make sure that once he transitioned out, it was a very smooth transition. Instead of what some people are like, oh, I just stopped working. All right, now I have to treat my business like a business. And Scott did that way beforehand. A lot of us had to do that. Me leaving construction was not that hard of a decision. I promise you. It's nobody wants to do construction for their whole entire life. At the same time, everybody's job is different. I don't know what a lot of us or a lot of people are doing on here in regards to work, but when I talk to people, depending on what you're looking to do, if you're looking to do flips and you're making 50, 60, 70, $80,000 a year, you got to figure out what you're doing right now and how many flips is it going to take you to be able to support your lifestyle. And the other thing too with real estate, it's never consistent. And a lot of people come in this business thinking, oh, I'm just going to do 5 flips a year. There's a gentleman on here and I can't remember his name right now. I know he was looking to do I think 5 or 6. And I think this year he's up to 2 or 3. I remember we talked to him last time we were on this call. So it's gonna depend on the market. I know when I walked away, I went to work because I was scared to death because the safety net was gone. At the same time, I also had it, I had my routines situated. I had my networking done. I was plugged in with this group and had everything in place to do everything I needed to do in regards to making sure I wasn't living in my car. Okay. And the other issue is and again, Scott said it perfectly. You can do whatever you want to do. You can burn the boats. But when you have to make that deal work and you're taking a lot of chances. I mean, we know one guy who, he did it. He quit his job and he'll tell you it was very hard. It was very difficult. I wouldn't have the guts to do what he did, and I bow to him. He's doing very well for himself. Would he do it over again? I don't know. Maybe. But like Scott, Scott came from a totally different background than I did. Scott was doing sales in corporate America. I was slaving away at construction. So for me to leave, it was a godsend. So, but yeah, and again, you have to figure out, what you're looking to do, whether you're doing rentals, flips, wholesaling, Scott, were you going to say something? I don't know if you're on mute or not.
No.
Oh.
No, I'm good.
Yeah. So, and by the way, when Scott left, Scott had rentals and rent-to-owns, right, Scott? When you left?
Yep. Yeah, I had rentals and rent-to-owns. The nice thing about the rent-to-owns is I knew about when they were going to be closing. So I could kind of budget that money out and say, okay, in 4 months, I have 20 grand coming in from this rent-to-own. Another 3 months after that, I have 40 grand coming in from this rent-to-own. So I knew that, was pretty sure that money was coming. The monthly revenue was still coming on the rent-to-owns, but yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, when Scott left, so he was doing rent-to-owns and rentals. When I left, I wasn't doing any of that. I was doing straightforward wholesaling. So that was not secured. In wholesaling, you're only as good as your last deal. And I needed to make sure that, now I've got a whiteboard in my office, but at the time in my calendar, I actually had a calendar I'd write in, and every day I would transfer over all the properties that I had in the mix. And that would let me see where I was at. Because if you like in wholesaling, you know, I might not get paid for 30, 60 days. Okay. And flips, it could be 4 to 6 months typically. You know, and then like with Scott doing the rent to owns, he knew that typically he had a certain close date out there. So he knew when things would be coming in. Wholesaling, nothing was guaranteed. The only thing was guaranteed is that you had to work your butt off. And whatever industry you're in, but at least Scott knew something as far as what was coming in. 40,000 here, 20,000 there. When you're dealing with wholesaling, you're dealing with 1,000 here, 3,000 or 10,000 or 5,000. The numbers were smaller, but you know, again, I don't know what Scott was making at the time. I know I was doing in the 40s, which in real estate now is not that hard to replace. Okay, so again, and by the way, don't be afraid to call people up and talk to people on it, or say, look, here's what I got going on, here's what I have, and you know, what do I need to do? And whether you're a beginner or you've been doing this for a while, you got to figure out what you're doing on a daily basis to run your business. Anyone have anything they want to add to that, or any questions to what we are going over?
Well, it looks like Pat Burks is asked to talk a little bit about rent to owns.
Oh, that's a Scott question. Or wait, does Pat want to speak or want someone to talk on that?
Want somebody to talk about some of the how-tos.
Oh, that's all. That's Mr. Scott Spear.
Yep, he's the rent-to-own guru.
All right. Okay. Rent to own, you own the property. I know people do rent to own, like they'll put a house under contract and say they'll buy it in 2 years, and then they'll rent to own it to somebody else. I don't operate that way. I own the properties that I rent to own. And just a real high overview of it. I buy the house for 80. I put 20 into it, so I'm into it for 100. I sell that house rent to own for, let's say, $125,000. I put somebody in that house who can qualify to buy the house within a year. And they agree to buy the house for $125,000 within a year. They're giving me $10,000 option deposit, which is non-refundable. So if they don't buy the house, they do not get that option deposit back. And they pay me fair market rents. I don't charge above market rents. I charge them fair market rent. And they rent it for a year. They're working with a mortgage person that I know typically, or their own mortgage person, and their mortgage person is updating me on their progress to get a mortgage. And then they buy the house. So it used to be 8 times out of 10 that worked. It dropped down to 7 times out of 10. When it doesn't work out, it's the people who are trying to buy the house. It was their fault, and they know that. You know, it's conversations we have. Maybe an unfortunate circumstance happened to them or something. But the ones who succeed, it's so exciting to watch them, because a lot of them never thought they could own a house, and here we are helping them to own houses. It's not something I would do in a remote market. I tell people, if you're married to a market, and I used to be married to Rochester, it's a great place to do it. Right now in the market today, it's probably not the best thing to do, in my opinion. Take the house, sell it quick. But when this market shifts, rent to own is going to be an awesome way to do business, I think. Will I come back to Rochester and do it? Probably not. But it's a good business. So that's just a real brief, high level overview on rent to own. Did I answer your question there, Pat, I know Pat knows more about rent to own than I do, or Greg, I think it was Greg. Who was asking the question? Greg or
Pat asked the question. I don't even think Greg's
Okay.
here. This is like, oh no, he is here. All right.
Greg is here. I was just saying if it's Greg, he knows more about rent to own than I do, that's for sure. But yeah, Pat, I hope that helps on that.
Scott, I got a question for you real quick. What do you do if the people after a year can't buy the house or don't buy the house?
At the end of the year, if they don't buy the house, we know before that year's up why they're not buying the house, because we've had conversations. And at that point, it's up to me if I want to extend their rent to own, which I can and I have done. The good thing there is too, is you can charge them more of an option deposit. So you get more money just in case they don't make it. You're keeping a heavier option deposit. You can raise the rent. But the really cool thing, like in today's market, is you can raise the price too. Hey, we agreed $125,000, but that was a year ago. This house is now worth $150,000. Yeah, you could buy it today for $125,000 and I'll sell it to you for $125,000. But if you want to extend this rent to own agreement, we have to come to fair market rent, what it is today. And that's what we do. But like I said, I had a 70% conversion ratio. 70% of the people who entered my rent to own program purchased the house. The other 30% didn't because of either unfortunate circumstance or they just weren't doing what they needed to do to get the mortgage.
It says with so many people not paying the rent and outstanding bills, she thought it was not a great opportunity for rent to own. So
it's an awesome opportunity for rent to own. That's a good thing with rent to own. If they don't perform, if they're not paying their rent, and it's right in the rent to own agreement, if they miss or they're late on 2 payments in a 12-month period, I can cancel the rent to own contract. So trust me, when people have $10,000 option deposit they're going to lose and they really want to buy the house, they're going to find a way to pay that rent. I typically won't put people in a house that I don't think are going to pay rent. And I know it's been a big market shift in the last year and a half. Been a lot of changes. It's kind of that gut feel, people are going to perform. Are these people going to do what they need to pay their rent? And I myself had a couple tenants that paid like clockwork for 5 years. COVID hit, and for some reason they thought that was a reason that they didn't have to pay rent anymore. They were not rent to own tenants. They were just they were regular tenants, and they just stopped paying rent. And so, but with rent to own, they stand the chance to lose that $10,000 deposit. Now, I haven't started any new rent to owns. I did one. The last one I closed on was in December of 2020. Good kid, paid his option deposit, got his option deposit back when he bought the house. He closed on the house December of 2020. But now during COVID, it's a different game. But I think it's even better to do rent to own right now. But in my opinion, the market is so hot right now. I don't even know if I do rent to own. I would just sell the house at the max price I could right now. Just take the money and run. Honestly, there's a supply issue out there. You're helping the supply issue by selling your house. That answer your question? Let's see, Pat.
Yes, it did answer my question.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I was concerned. I have some property that the people would like to stay in. And they asked me if they could just buy it. And I thought, okay, well, that sounds like a better deal to just get rid of it. But on the other side, I have included that into my overall expenses for living. So I'm doing well with it being a portion of an Airbnb and then the other side being a rental. So I'm not so sure I want to mess up my budget for an instant cash flow or to just let it balance itself out as I go along. So yeah, it gives me a little bit more food for thought.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sure. And the biggest thing is you want to set them up with a mortgage broker or a mortgage person, bank mortgage person, but
Yeah.
somebody that you know and trust and can communicate with, and who's going to communicate with you. And, I'd start them in the process. If you want to sell them the house, see if you can get them qualified, maybe within 6, 8, 12 months. So,
Yeah. I'm thinking that's a bigger possibility to get them qualified in order to be able to purchase the house, because they want it. So I'm like, okay. But
mhm.
I just don't want to, right, as I said, right now it's included in my expenses, my overall income, and how it might affect it. Some people just see the dollar signs and go right after it, but I kind of step back a little bit and say, okay, what are my other options for this? So thank you. I'm glad to hear more information on that. And it didn't occur to me to just ask the question. I forgot all about this.
Yeah, good. Yeah, and don't put them in an eternal rent to own situation. Then they're really just tenants.
Yes.
But I have tenants that, in my opinion, they were tenants. And I said, if you ever want to buy the house, you let me know. You get with the bank, you let me know, we'll work out the details.
Mhm.
But those were rentals. They weren't classified in my portfolio as rent to own properties. So, and they'll take better care of it. They think they're going to buy it. They typically will take better care of the property.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Scott, didn't you, when you did your rent to owns, remember you mentioned you didn't do a regular contract with them because if there was ever an issue? Can you just talk about that real quick with letting people know what you had to do?
Yeah. One second. Yeah, you do two contracts. You do a rent own agreement with them. And then you do a rental agreement with them. The rent own contract is like the purchase contract. We've had those that have worked. Other attorneys have said, okay, yeah, I understand the rent own thing, but I want you to put on a regular purchase contract now that we're closing. So the rent own agreement is like the purchase contract. And then the rental agreement is different. It's two different things because they are renting the property from you as a tenant. And the rent own agreement says, okay, in the next 365 days, you're going to purchase this property. So you have two contracts. That answer your question, Joe?
Yeah, tell them why. Do you remember why?
Oh, okay. The reason is I know some people, let's say the rent's $1,200 and they'll say, okay, your rent's $1,500, but I'm going to credit you back $300 a month when you purchase a property. I was told by my attorney, who's Steve Peterson, that everybody in the group should know because he is our attorney for FFREIA and he's an outstanding real estate attorney. He said, if you do that in New York State, they are considered they have a vested interest in the property, which means they potentially own part of the property and you have to foreclose on them. You can't just evict them. So even with the agreement I had, you still could get in front of a judge who interprets it a different way. And you still could have that issue. And I only had that issue one time. And I had to decide with the judge, was it worth it for me to fight this with an attorney, or is it worth it for me just to give them their option deposit back and call it a day and just say, well, we're done, because they wanted to go to court and I didn't. But yeah, that's it. If you say you're going to apply your rent towards their purchase, New York State looks at it as they have a vested interest in the property.
Yeah.
That answer your question?
Yeah, and just so everybody knows, if you start a foreclosure process, just to start is a $5,000 retainer.
Yes.
Just to start.
Yes, very true.
And in New York State, It's gonna take a while.
Mhm.
Could be
Yep.
at least a year to 2 years.
Yep.
just to get them out. And I learned that from you when you talked about that. It was like, wow, because most people I talk to don't know anything about. Only the people in this group that you've actually talked to and have heard you talk about that actually know about that.
Yeah.
I talked to one guy a while back. I scared the crap out of him as soon as I told him. He goes, "What?" I go, "Yeah, it's called equitable interest. If you need to get him out, good luck." He was freaking out.
Yep.
And he goes, "How do you know this?" I go, I'm part of the REIA group here. I go, and I don't know. And I told him, I mentioned your name. I said, Scott Spears, the one where I learned. That's what he does. And that has been like one of the, because I always want to thought about doing rent to owns. I never even knew that. So, yeah, so that is actually some fantastic information.
Mhm. Yeah. And Greg Brooks is putting some good comments in the comment block. Greg's a wealth of knowledge. He's like the silent ninja. We never see him, we never hear from him, but he puts chats in the chat box. He's really smart. But yeah, I had a situation. I went and met with Steve Peterson. I said, here's a situation. He said, okay, I'm going to have you sit with my litigation attorney, because Steve could handle it, but he has another guy that I think works in his office that handles that stuff. We sat down and talked, and he says, okay, it's $5,000 retainer. And he goes, we're going to go through that plus some more to make this happen for you. Because at that point I had to say, well, if I give the person back $5,000 and this goes away, I'm ahead of the game. And it just worked out that, I made the deal with the person, gave the $5,000 back. And I just had this conversation. Joe, I was talking to somebody from another country, a business owner, and going through the same situation. I said, okay, Joe Laubera says it all the time. You can be right or you can be rich. You can't always be both, trust me. And what that meant was I could fight this person in court and win because I was right, but it was going to cost me $15,000, $20,000 probably. I'd take a step back and say, okay, I'm right, but I'd rather be rich. Therefore, I just gave the person $5,000. I didn't say you're right or wrong. I just said, how about this? I'll give you your $5,000 back. We call it a day, you move out, everything's dropped, and they agreed to it. So I think I got lucky on that one.
Yeah, you got
that's what I was talking to about this person. They have another partner in a business and they want to force a partner out. And I told them, I said, be very careful of that, because that person could actually burn your business, just give you a bad reputation in town. And okay, now you own 100% of the company, but you own 100% of nothing. Would you rather own 85% of something or 100% of nothing? And they didn't like that when I said it, but I think they realized at the end of the conversation, that's why I was a little late. It's just kind of like, I understand, but, and I said, no, but you understand, if you can make an agreement with this person, do it. Otherwise, just, it's your choice. You have to decide what you're going to do. And in that case, 85% of something's better than 100% of nothing. So that's it.
And by the way, Scott had used Steve Peterson, and not all attorneys are created equal. Steve focuses on real estate, and I'd never heard of this ever. And the other guy who I scared the crap out of, he had a general attorney. So he just does, he does a little bit of everything. That was not his forte, and knew nothing about this. Never even got that mentioned to him from his own attorney. So moral of the story is, get a real estate attorney. If you need brain surgery, you're not gonna go to a podiatrist. He's a doctor, but you're not gonna go to a podiatrist. You're gonna go to a brain surgeon. Same thing here. Go to a real estate attorney. Any more questions on that? Anyone have anything that they want to talk or add on to?
Just a reminder, obviously we already talked about Johnny's, but the FFREIA picnic in August is taking place on the evening of the 19th. It's members only. It is at the White House in Webster at Webster Park.
And everybody needs to get registered for that, right, Andy?
We would prefer that they do so that we have an accurate count for food and adult beverages.
Okay.
Just to add on a little bit, Andy, to what you're saying. For folks who are members of FFREIA, it is one of those great things from my perspective that people are able to do, because you are able to come to the picnic and also bring a guest. And when you bring the guest comes for free, and so do you. And that means you get all the food and all the networking and all those great things that take place at the picnic.
Yeah, it'll be a great networking event. It's fantastic. It's always been great. And you get to meet all these, the networking is just the food and networking. So it's actually fantastic. But yeah, definitely get registered. I think, can you get registered online, or does he have to do they have to reach out to Susan, or how can they do that, Leon?
Yeah, I mean, right now, we're still working our way through that. I mean, typically we do it online.
Okay.
And, you know, just like signing up. Picnic is a little bit different, so there may be some things there that we still need to work our way through. I'm not absolutely sure. So at this point, I'm just going to say, stay tuned. Clearly, between now and then, we'll have it squared away so that there's no question.
Right now, it looks like sign up on the website, or you can call or email. It looks like it was done with Susan, but I'd say the easiest thing to do to put everything in one place instead of at multiple places is going to be go to the website, register for the event on our website. If you're a member, it'll let you do that anyway. If you're a non-member, it should ban you from being able to register. So make sure your dues are paid. There's multiple things going on where you really want your dues paid, and we'll be talking about that more in the next couple of months. You should be able to register a guest on there as well. It should be set to allow one extra person, and you just have to type their name out when you go to get the ticket.
Perfect. All right. I don't know if there's any more questions. We're probably going to wrap up a few minutes early over here. Everybody all set?
Guys, I have one question.
Absolutely.
I heard some rumblings prior to the start of the meeting about the eviction moratorium. Does anybody have any updates?
The update was that there really isn't an update. They haven't officially said one way or the other if they're extending it or not. The expectation right now is that they will, because Jersey and California already have, and New York can't be left behind. But the reason probably won't be COVID. It'll be because the money isn't getting to the tenants and landlords the way it needs to. So they're going to extend the moratorium through December 31st, and then they're going to extend it again because nobody's allowed to get kicked out of their home while it's winter and during the holidays and all that happy horse shit. Pardon my French.
All right, thank you, Andy.
I have something that we can bring up here. Hold on one second. Let me change over to my tablet so that my wife can use the computer. Joe, did you bring up where we're at for the year?
No, I did not.
Okay, bring it up, Joe.
It's
So
all
we got
yours.
about 10 more minutes. No, I'm not gonna let you get off that easy. We got at least 10 more minutes. Go ahead, Joe. You know what we should be talking about. I talked enough already.
What Scott and I, we were talking about, we mentioned it a little bit last time we were on the call. We are officially halfway through the year. July 1st is today, and a lot of us, especially if you're running your business the way you're supposed to be running it, everyone takes into account where they're at, what they've done, where they want to be, where they need to be, and where they're going to be going, and how exactly they're going to be getting there. And you know, I always like to look. I mean, I always have a board, and you know, that's my accountability thing for myself. If I see a lot more of that board, there's a problem. You know, everybody's different. Some people may only be one deal. Some people may be 10 deals. And you know, I don't exactly know where you want to be, where you need to be. Because some of us, you know, we have different wants, different needs. And I tell people, don't beat yourself up if you're not where you want to be. Okay. And by the way, for some of you, don't be afraid to speak up, to say, you know, let us know where some of you are at, or where you want to be at the end of the year. Okay. So please feel free to be able to put that out there, you know, while we're talking here. But I like to figure out where I'm at. And then my main thing, which is I've already started doing that this week. I mean, I do that on a regular basis, but I really take into account halfway through the year. Typically you got what, about 24, 25 more Saturdays, whatever the heck it is, or you want to call it there, 26 more Saturdays till Christmas. As crazy as that sounds, it just brings it down to reality in regard, no, maybe 20, 26, 27, whatever it is there. It brings it down into reality, how fast the end of the year is going to be here versus people think it's halfway through the year. Break it down into Saturdays. It'll really kick you in the teeth. That's how I like to figure it out. People hate me when I say that, especially when you go up to people in July, say, yeah, it's only like 26 more Saturdays till Christmas. You know, they don't like to hear that. But does anybody want to talk about where they're at, or what they need to do to get to where they're at?
All right, I'll go. Even though I don't do real estate for my full-time job, I'm a consultant, right? So for the first half of the year, things were a little bit rocky, just because of, I think, partially COVID, people watching their money. Now that things are kind of starting to open back up, and a lot of my clients work in multiple states, I'm seeing more activity on the real estate consulting side, but we made do, and I was able to track down a couple of contracts based on helping people with their marketing, actually, outside of FFREIA, which I've been doing for a while. The overall scope of what I'm doing is I'm actually working with a local law firm to help them hire some people and do some change management on the marketing side that really taps more into my sales and management experience over the last 20 years. But I also just signed a contract last week for a project working with a international company that everybody on this call probably knows, and I'm not allowed to say who it is because I have a non-disclosure with them. But needless to say, it's something in the neighborhood of $20,000 to $30,000 contract for the first phase, and that's only going to be for the first the back half of this year, and then this is probably going to be a total of about a 2 to 3 year project, which is pretty cool. And they know a lot of the same people that I know. Let's put it that way. But those people don't work at Home Depot anymore, so I'll give you the gap as to what they're trying to do and who they're trying to work with. You can figure it out. But at the end of the day, it's just open yourself up. Be ready to pivot, look for opportunities wherever they happen to land, and good things will happen. If you close your mind off to possibilities and opportunities, you'll never find what you're looking for. You know, money's money. If you're good at the job and you can make it happen, take it.
Wow, that's fantastic, Andy. I appreciate you sharing that. Anyone else?
Oh, Greg wanted to talk about supply chain stuff. So supply chain is okay right now for most things. Lumber's starting to come down. a little bit. It's down, I think, $400 a thousand. So we're way down below the peak. We're still not to the September level, but we're getting closer. The big thing to watch right now is cabinetry. Everybody's having problems getting cabinets. Appliances, the lead time is what it is. Windows, the lead time is what it is. We've seen the pricing increases on vinyl siding and anything made with vinyl partially, and actually roofing because of barrel of oil pricing and whatnot. But cabinetry is really the hot button right now. 4 to 6 weeks seems to be the average lead time for anything custom. Could be longer depending on the brand that you go with. Shop around. You can find it for 4 weeks. Depending on the class of property that you're working on, you can probably find some in-stock stuff somewhere. But if they don't have everything on ground, don't buy it because you will not be able to find matching product somewhere else. It seems like it's fits and starts. So if you can get a whole in-stock cabinet of knockdowns or pre-assembled RTAs, whatever you can find, get it if it'll work in your property. If you need to get 90% of it as RTA in stock and you need special order to match, good luck. You're gonna end up finding another place to find cabinets and probably uninstalling what you've put in, because you're just not gonna see them. The supply is messed up, and there's nothing you're gonna do to change it anytime soon. And that's pretty much it. Appliances are what they are. If you can find it in stock, again, grab it. I saw that our one of our ex-members is working at a appliance dealer in Rochester, and they just got a whole mess of scratch and dent stuff in the other day. They have it in stock on ground. Grab it. Quite frankly, if you can use scratch and dent appliances, even if they don't necessarily match and do what you want them to do, if you're supplying appliances, go get them there, because you're not going to find a better price and lead time than that. Most of the other manufacturers and supply houses, if they don't have it in stock, you're out 4 weeks minimum, sometimes longer. I've heard people having nightmares of getting special order stuff from like Viking and super high end stuff taking 6 months, 8 months to get. Don't even bother. If you're in a class A and you're trying to find a Viking right now, good luck. So.
Well, all right. I know it's 10:30. We're almost at 10:30 over here, so we'll hang out for a few more minutes for anybody who wants to talk or go over anything. But I know we'll want to be respectful of everybody's time here, so we'll let everybody go here. Appreciate everybody being on the call, and looking forward to seeing everybody at Johnny's next Thursday night, 6 o'clock. Everybody have a great day. Go buy real estate.
So jealous you guys having a meeting at Johnny's. So that's pretty awesome.
Come on up, Scott. Fly
Yeah.
up on your private jet.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Drive the 8 hours up there. So so no, it's awesome you guys are doing it. Just a casual meeting then Thursday at Johnny's.
Yep.
Okay, in replacement of the general meeting. Okay.
Yeah. Because it's going to be a lot of people going to be on vacation, like Andy was saying. Plus,
Okay.
it'd be good to see people in person and network.
Yeah.
I haven't been to Johnny's since last time we were there for the meetup.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
So,
Wow.
nice.
Yeah, that'd be the same for me at Johnny's, that's for sure. So,
Come on up for a couple of hours and head back.
well, I hope to be up for the picnic. That's my plan. So should be able to make that. I'm hoping we're scheduling doctor's appointments and stuff in August. So we're going to be up there for a few things. So, yeah.
It'd be good to see you.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So are you doing any storage facilities today? You looking at any? Because I know you did 3-4 states last week.
Yep. 4 states last week. Looked at a bunch of them. It was great because we were able to kick a bunch out. I'm gonna say probably a third we just kicked out. As soon as we saw them, we literally drove by one and we kept driving. It was pretty funny. A guy was explaining it to us, said there's an apartment on the front of the storage units and then there's storage units behind it. So we're driving up to it, and it was a referral from a wholesaler. So the seller didn't know we were coming, we were just gonna stop by, do, like mystery shopper type thing. And I should have taken a picture of it. I wonder if I did. I'll have to see if I did. But we drove up to this thing, literally it was a house, and behind it was a storage buildings, like in their backyard. It was attached to the house. It's like a continuous thing where they put their house in front. And it was like the weirdest thing I've ever seen. It wasn't that big. And literally it's like having people in your backyard coming in and out of their storage units. And the guy's like, well, you can make it into an apartment. I'm like, there's no way anybody who owns this is gonna wanna, do it. So it was just like, I can't imagine. But I guess if you live there and you didn't mind people coming into your backyard and, it's making money and stuff like that, it's not bad. But no, I don't. It was literally attached to the storage unit was attached to the house. It was like, no, we're not gonna go down the road with this one.
Just when you think you've seen it all, you've seen more.
Yeah, I'm sure in the wholesale deals you've seen, there's been quite a few too that you.
Never a storage unit attached to a house though, but
Yeah. Drive up to it, keep on driving. So, we should have told people. I think we gotta start doing this, is tell people to bring friends to these meetings. So
yeah.
increase the people coming. So, and
All the mornings plus the 4th of July, we knew it was going to be a light meeting this morning.
yeah. Yeah, it was that for sure.
Yeah. So,
Cool, man. So what about you? What have you been up to? What do you got going on?
I think I'm going to look at a house today. We're working on another one in Greece, and we are trying to we're dealing with a guy. We're picking up this house, and the seller, his attorney, I sent the purchase offer over 3 weeks ago. The attorney still hadn't sent it back. So 2 days ago, the seller fired his own attorney and got another attorney. So we're just trying to get that wrapped up. And get a look at my schedule. I know I've got properties I'm looking at in the morning. And then I had another one which we had sold in the city, and the tenant ended up buying the property. So he goes, well, the tenant's going to buy it, but I got another property. I go, okay, let's take a look at that one. So it's his last one, so we'll see what happens. And then obviously we're following up on leads and everything else. So
Nice. Yeah. We have a storage facility that we're selling, and the guy's attorney is part of a firm, thank God, but the guy's attorney passed away sudden. It was like in his mid 40s, not sure what happened, but so I had to bring in another attorney to finish the job up. And the other attorney, he has just a slight interest in getting it done, and it's been painful. And we told him, we're like, look, why don't you use Steve Peterson to close on your part? Because we're using a different attorney for this one. We're like, why don't you just have Steve do it? Steve was on board. Well, the guy's like, well, I paid this attorney's firm a $5,000 retainer to start the process and the close. I'm like, so he felt committed to him, and he couldn't get the $5,000 retainer back, blah, blah, blah. So it's just been dragging on, and we're to the point now where we're going to have to do a, close or else. I forget what you call that.
time is of the essence.
Time is of the essence. We think we're going to have to do that on this one. So we don't want to, and we don't want to push the guy, but it's like, look, dude, it's been going on way too long. So
tell the guy, make the attorney say, you know what? I'd call up the attorney and be like, listen, obviously you want to buy this place, so I'm going to let you buy it.
Right. There you go.
I've said that to them before. They don't like it, but what do you got to lose?
Right. So tell the buyer that, look, you want to buy this, we want to let you buy it. Is that what you said? Say that again.
I've told the attorney, I'd be like, listen, obviously you want to buy this. That's how come you're dragging this thing out. So I'm just going to let you buy it. But you're going to come up with the money. You're not going to let your client lose this deal. So I'm going to walk away, and you're going to write him a check. Because that's the only reason why. And they got very mad at me. I'm not telling people to do that, but if it got to the point you have nothing to lose, what are you going to do?
Right. Yeah.
that's it. So,
Mhm.
well,
So now we got the brains of the outfit on here. I wish Leon was on here too. I guess today was just late because of the holiday. It's what I'm gonna attest it to. I know we debated on whether or not to cancel this meeting. You know, I sent Andy a message during the meeting, man, there should be 50 people on this thing. So we need to find a way to start bringing those numbers up because it's easy to jump on a Zoom. I mean,
Yeah. Some of it comes down to, like, of all the people who've quit FREIA and didn't renew, like 75% of the people that I sent the survey to said it was because there was no in-person thing. So I think we need to find a venue and start doing the blended thing. And some of it, I mean, honestly, it's starting at 8:45-ish to 9 o'clock-ish. There's a lot of people who do work W-2s that are just never going to be here for that.
Yeah.
So, and that's just the nature of this meeting. I think, you know, the morning meeting was always later than the evening meeting for AREIS and for housing provider. But I mean, even when we did the blended meeting, we only had like 10 people in person and then the rest of it was online. Even though we had like 20 something people there, it was, 50-50 split, which seems to be about right. But with the weather changing and people working W-2s, the timing sucks.
yeah.
And there's just no easy way to do it unless we wanted to move the meeting to like a Saturday. And then you've got family things and kid things and all that other crap that comes into it. It's like, I don't think there's a good time. You know, we're always going to get better attendance at these things in the wintertime because people are more willing to stay home, and COVID helped because people were working from home. So they could just go, oh, well, I'm just going to join this and nobody's going to know the difference. I think the biggest thing is we just need to get more members, period. And then we'll have better attendance. And I think that's kind of what the drive is right now. And that's what we talked to SMG about, is it's more about marketing towards results than it is to marketing towards just raising brand awareness. We want to see more people joining. So we're actually starting an online only membership, which should increase these meetings. It'll be $50.
Wow.
But they don't get to go to any in-person meetings. And if they want to attend a networking event or in-person meeting, they're going to fork over $20.
Okay.
okay.
So,
Or
You
buy
know.
up their membership, right?
or buy up their membership, right? You got it. So, but that should open things up a little bit. And it's about in line with other online only memberships that are out there between other groups. So we're going to actually work to change the website up and get that information out there. And then we'll see a bump in membership because of the Home Depot thing, because their Home Depot's going through and auditing all their membership lists. And if you're not a current member of a national REIA, they're actually going to take your rebate away.
Good. That's great.
Yeah.
Hey, Scott, I'm not sure if you mentioned my name or not. My computer froze, so I apologize if you did.
I always mention your name. I miss your face. Where are you?
You're too funny.
Only because she never turns her damn camera on, but at least she's
It's-
talking today. So there's that.
It's hiding.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the morning. It's fine. I'll forgive you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
All right, everybody. 20 minutes to 11. We got to go do real estate.
Yeah.
I got to go do research and get paid.
Another thing too, I don't know, is it the length of the meetings? Is an hour and a half maybe just too long for some people? It's an in-person meeting, hour and a half.
I don't know.
Maybe
Yeah.
on Zoom, I don't know. But, something to think about. If we shorten it down to an hour, we all could use an extra half hour in our day. Is that part of it too? So I don't know.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I haven't heard any complaints about the length of meeting, but I can always add it to one of the surveys.
Okay.
People's attention span. How long does it normally last?
Nowadays, 4 seconds.
I was gonna
Oh, there
say,
you go.
wow, I was gonna say 20, but yeah, I think you're right.
That's more like a fish. Right?
Yeah.
It's like a goldfish. You get 4 seconds.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
it.
The evening AREIS meetings, those used to have sometimes 30, 40. We've had 50 people at the AREIS meetings before.
Mhm. Yep.
And, that was down at the Bayfront over there.
Yep.
True.
So
Just
Yeah.
need to get back into a venue that has food that people want to eat and a location that people find convenient. And literally, we spent $2,500 last week, or I spent it, and then the board paid me for it to get all this computer crap to do blended meetings. We just got to find a place where we can connect to the internet and still be able to do partial Zoom and partial in person. So, yeah. So we're talking to Whatever the restaurant there is in Greece. I can't remember the name of it right now. Yeah, Da Vinci's, because they bought a projector and a screen to do our meetings. So we're going to talk to them about something out that way, and then we just have to find a place that's convenient that has food people want to eat, or or go to SMG's office and have people come there and we'll just buy pizzas or something. I don't know. Around the corner from Fuego Coffee and a couple of restaurants. So, I mean, there's always a possibility of having them cater as well. But
Okay, cool. All righty, guys. Well, have a good day.
Real
see you,
quick,
everybody. Yo,
Yeah.
Lawrence is a dad,
Oh, okay, awesome.
so you may
Awesome.
want to text him or something.
All right, July 1st. Was it today or yesterday?
I don't know. He just sent me. I reached out to him this morning. He just sent me a picture. So, just letting you know.
Mm-hmm.
All right, go do real estate.
All right, cool.
Have a great day, everybody.
See you, everybody.
see ya.
Bye.
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 Aye.